Greetings, Black family, and welcome to On the Wake Up Radio. I am your host, DC Radical One, and you have entered the center. Shout out to my wonderful producer, Cindy Ashby. You can check us out on SoundCloud, YouTube, iTunes Podcasts, Google Play, Stitcher, Spotify, and iHeartRadio at On the Wake Up Radio. So it's interesting because I don't see anyone currently in the chat, which never happens. So I guess it's the first time for everything. I'll give people a few minutes to come in. I'll check my sound levels and my I'll try to find some music. So tonight's discussion will be we're going to talk about the Kenyan. Get the sound down to a reasonable level. For those who aren't paying attention or unaware, currently, as we speak in Kenya, they are in a fight for freedom. Before they Black Pride to Brother Kevin. Brother Kevin, put a 1 in the chat if you can hear me, please. So we're gonna talk about the Kenyan situation, how they got there. I've been posting about it on Instagram most of the day. Even took a post from Dr. Mumbi, who was out there amongst the people. So shout out to Dr. Mumbi for being out there amongst the people. I wanted to talk about it because right now they have they are in the midst of, this is interesting, a situation where the government has decided that the people are, this is interesting, where the people are an enemy. I just saw this a few minutes ago. So if it sounds like I'm distracted while I'm talking, it's because I'm distracted while I'm talking. I'm trying to do two things at once. And one of the things I'm trying to do just isn't happening at all. So we're going to go over a couple of articles basically to see how we got here. And we had talked about Kenya's leadership, Mr. Ruto. We had talked about him previously, his meeting with Mr. Biden and that whole situation. And so what I wanted to do is, before they straight by process of finance, I wanted to show how we got to this point and what's going on now. Now, part of this is speculation on my part because I'm not in Kenya. I'm just going by the reports. And I don't know, before they to Sister Najee, before they straight black pride of Brother Shah, what I might end up doing is trying to contact Dr. Mumbi next week. So she's out there. Before they straight black pride, the spirit, mind, character, soul. Okay, I see everybody just late. Yeah. I'm so used to, but you got ripped off coming on time, so he not here. Everybody else just comes in late. So that's cool. Well, I'm trying to figure out why the Instagram portion of this is not apparently working. So That's why I sound distracted, because I'm distracted. I try to do two things at once. I think what I'm gonna end up. BB4 Straight Black Pride, brother Desaline. Good to see you, brother. I think what I'm gonna have to end up doing is the old 2-computer model in order to link in Instagram. It look like that's what I'm gonna have to do. I don't feel like doing that right now, so we're gonna go with what we're doing. And I'm gonna really get started at 15 after. So for those who may be listening later, you'll know where to start. I did want to say that Brother Genie does have, we got two things coming up. The 29th, he has a rally coming up at Freedom Plaza in Washington, D.C. at noon. And then, as I look for it on my phone, and then he has another event on the 30th. I think I'm going to post that event tomorrow or later tonight on the community page of YouTube. So look out for that. All I can say about it is it deals with the subject that he's been dealing with for the last 2 years. It's a conference and be online. We're featuring a lot of speakers and authors. So that is on the 30th. So I have to see what time that is, because if it conflicts with my normal time, then that means I won't be on the 30th. If it does not, then I will, as I'm still looking to find the actual poster. But anyway, let me keep on. Here we go. Here it is. All right. Let me give you all the details real quick so we can get started. So this is the JP conference organized by someone called Converse. Brother Genie and Dr. Cynthia McKinney are scheduled to appear. This will be via live stream. And it says this will be 6 p.m. Eastern Time, June 30th, 2024. So I do not know because they have probably, looks like about half a dozen speakers. So I don't have any idea as far as how that's going to be set up, how much time going to be given, things like that. If I find out, I'll let you all know. It looks like this will conflict with my normal time on Sunday. So what I may end up doing is moving up my time on Sunday. I'll have to see how that works. So we got that. And then, but before that, on the 29th, we got the Save America rally. It's June 29th, 12 to 4. It's going to deal with AIPAC, saving the First Amendment, and some things we talk about, First, Fourth Amendment, and issues dealing with international Zionism. So that is at Freedom Plaza, which is 1455 Pennsylvania Avenue, Northwest, Washington, D.C. 20004. I will be recording that. I won't be live streaming it, just because it's outside event. But I will be recording it, and I will edit it for time, and it'll go up in pieces exclusively on otw2.com. And if anybody wants to purchase the whole thing, I'll let you know if that's possible. But it will go up on pieces, clips, on otw2.com. And if there's some clips that can go up on here, they will. So, let's get started. So currently, as we speak right now, and of course, there's probably about 2 o'clock in the morning, and it still may be currently as we speak. Kenya is on the verge of revolution. At the moment, it's an uprising. It's not a full-scale revolution, but generally what is taking place is Mr. Ruto and his government have basically passed some the parliament has basically passed some austerity measures with some high taxes on some of everything, like bread and basic staples. And the Kenyan youth, so-called Generation Z, just said no. That's it. They heard about it, they looked at it, they looked in their pockets, said, oh, I don't have nothing else to give in my pocket, so that's not gonna happen. And so they took to the streets. They organized via I believe via TikTok, and they took to the streets, and it started off as a peaceful protest. Eventually they took to the parliament, and we'll have video of all this stuff. And they took to the parliament and showed, hey man, listen, we're not having it. As of earlier today, which may have been yesterday for them, I'm not sure, Mr. Ruto has decided to fire upon them with live weaponry, not rubber bullets. Last I heard, 10 people had been murdered by the government. And then right before I came on, probably 30 minutes before I came on, while I'm trying to get everything situated, I saw where Mr. Ruto has declared the people, because it's the people who are resisting, he's declared the people traitors. So once the government declares you a traitor, that means that it's open season on you. And once any government declares open season on its people, at that point, the government ceases to be legitimate. Once the government ceases to be legitimate, anything that the people do to remove the government from power is justified based upon the government calling the people traitors. You see what I'm saying? Now, that's my analysis. So what we're going to do, we're going to rewind the clock. We're going to go back to before all this started, and we're going to go to the stuff I think started it, and then we're going to move forward to see what's going on, and then I'm going to do some analysis of how I think this should play out. Not how it will, but how this should play out in order for them to successfully do what I believe they are trying to do. Now, if they're not trying to do what I think they're trying to do, then my analysis doesn't really matter, right? So y'all ready? We got that? We clear? All right, let's move forward. So let's go back in time and check out this article. It says, why Biden White House, and this is Voice of America, so this from Urugu. Why the Biden White House chose Kenya for its first state visit by an African leader. Now, look where he is. This is Kenyan President William Ruto, and he lays a wreath at the tomb of Martin Luther King and Coretta Scott King. Now, we're going to stop right here. I'm just be completely honest. Whenever someone comes here, right, and they stop at Martin Luther King's tomb instead of Malcolm X's tomb, you already know politically where they at. You see what I'm saying? So, it's kind of a dead giveaway. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I picked this article, because I saw that picture. I was like, oh, well, he's telling us who he is right there, right? Now, let's just read a little bit of the article. It says, the White House says it chose Kenya for its first state visit by an African leader for many reasons, not least because the East African powerhouse has stepped up onto the global stage, offering to staff a United United Nations peacekeeping mission to Haiti that could see boots on the ground as early as this week. Now let's stop right here. Let's think about what they just said. Haiti is the revolutionary parent of every Western revolutionary movement after it, right? It's the living example of what happens when you people decide we're going to be free no matter what. And Haiti is literally the example to be studied or how you get that done. And Haiti's been paying for it because they set that example ever since, right? Now, the U.S. has been meddling in Haitian affairs, well, forever. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? And once Haiti got rid of the other Europeans, the U.S. looked at it and said, it's probably going to be a problem. We're going to have to start doing something. Pretty much. Now, Ruto has decided that he is going to do the bidding of the West. Because all right, let's look at it, right? The government, the United States government, I should say, because we're dealing with a lot of different countries. So I don't know why I said that as if some other government, the United States government, right, wants to interfere in Haitian affairs. They also want to not appear like they're interfering in Haitian affairs. Okay, well, how does this work? Well, you could, one, just set up some clandestine opposition force that's really working for you and have them overthrow the government and then set up a puppet regime right there, right? Now, they actually kind of did that already. And so that hasn't really worked long term. So you're like, all right, what can we do? Well, what you can do is, in essence, pay some other black people to send their troops to deal with these black people that you don't like before they greetings to Raw Ito Vital, right? So that's basically what the United States did. And so Ruto from Kenya, the president of Kenya, said, okay, you know what? I'll do that. And, the deal started to be made. Now, the people of Kenya were like, before they straight black pride to Eshu Ogun, the people of Kenya were like, yeah, I don't know if we should be doing that. Like, we got our own problems, sending our police over there to do, I don't know about that, right? So there was rumblings there. There was discontent already, right? But Mr. Ruto's like, nah, I'm gonna get in good with the U.S. and get this bread, get paid. Like, y'all just don't see the vision, right? So now let's get back to the article, right? And this is before the state visit. It says now, VOA White House correspondent Anita Powell sat down with Francis Brown, the newly appointed Director for African Affairs at the National Security Council, ahead of the state visit by Kenyan President William Ruto. They discussed a wide range of issues, including technology, climate management, debt relief, quote-unquote democracy, and health and more. Now, that democracy thing looks real crazy right about now, as his police are gunning down the people. So we can pretty much throw that out the window. And then two, I'm looking at this chick, Francis Brown. Bruh, how is this the Director for African Affairs at the National Security Council unless they about imperialism? This person has absolutely no interest in anything beneficial for Africa. Look at it. Look at this shit. Can y'all see that? I need to make that bigger. Let me see. Let's see if I can make this bigger. Look at this, bro. Her. Can y'all see that? Her. Am I? Yeah, her. Come on, man. Like, this is what I'm saying. I'm saying, like, this is like getting literally. This is like me walking out in the middle of Washington D.C. in rush hour in the morning and picking some random white woman and saying, "Hey, do you care about black people? Would you like a job where you have to help black people with their affairs?" And she's like, "How much you paying?" you know what I'm saying? But she, you know what I'm saying? But she doesn't care. She doesn't know anything. I mean, this is like, she looks like the most random white woman there is. Like, before gentrification, we didn't, these type of white women, you couldn't even find them on the street yet, unless you went way up Georgetown. But anyway, so Frances Brown, right? So y'all know I gotta find out who she is, because she may not be who I think she is, right? So let's see what she got to say. Anyway, says, we chose Kenya for a few reasons. Number one is the Kenya-U.S. partnership has really grown from a regionally focused one to a globally focused one. And we see a lot of complementarities in terms of what we're trying to do on climate, what we're trying to do on debt for the developing world, and what we're trying to do on security issues. Stop right there. Whenever you see something about climate, that's implementation of WEF agendas, right? Whenever you see something about climate, that's World Economic Forum, which of course we know is the Hatch, which is an administrative wing of the One World Government. So this is why you see Kenya with the Kenyan ID program, which I've talked about previously, right? This is why you see them pushing the latest type of vaccine, latest type of quote unquote vaccines, mRNA. This is why you see them pushing GMO in Kenya. So whenever you see climate, just translate GMOs, mRNA. You know what I'm saying? That's basically microchips. But they were saying something about putting microchips in the children or something. I wish I had the article up. And I'm like, did I cover that or did I miss that? So that's your translation for climate, right? All that stuff falls under climate, so you can translate that. Now, let's see. Oh, and she said debt, which is interesting because allegedly they talked about debt. He claims that he got some money, but then as soon as he come home, he says, we got to raise your taxes. Okay, I'm just giving you the timeline of what happened. That's all I'm saying. Now, the second reason is we won this state visit with Kenya is that we are both democracies, and our bond is very deep as democracies, and our bond is very deep on people-to-people ties. Stop right here. Okay, so here's the deal. We live in America, right? Has America really been a democracy since 2000? Like, did George Bush really win the election? you know what I'm saying? Has there not been controversy almost every election since then, except I guess the first one with Obama? Although I even heard actually Democrats complaining about that, saying that was rigged. Now I don't know about that. Could have been though. If I'm not mistaken, the Democratic Party didn't even have a real primary this year. So what are we talking about? If you don't even have a primary, what kind of democracy do you have? So again, at this point, democracy is a code word for something. I had to figure out what it's code word for, because it's not a real thing anymore. Because if it's not real in America, and America claims to be the democracy, how's it real anywhere else? But I digress. Now, says the third reason is Kenya and U.S. really work similarly in terms of bringing in the private sector to solve global problems. Stop. When you hear the words public-private partnership, that means, again, WEF, World Economic Forum. when I read, the reason I read Great Reset book by Klaus Schwab, and so I could just see what he was talking about. And there's certain terms and keywords that he has in the book, and whenever I hear them, it's like a bell goes off in my head, and I say, "Oh, that person WEF." I was watching something innocuous, the news. I was watching the news, and I believe it was the mayor of DC talking, and then all of a sudden she just started going on about public-private partnerships and blah blah blah, and I said, "Oh, well, that explains everything. This shit WEF." So whenever you hear that, that's World Economic Forum lingo right there. One day I need to just produce a vocabulary of stuff, and so we can translate and tell what it is. So basically what she said is that they're doing the bidding of the US under the WEF, which is under the hats. Let's move forward. We do really, oh, wait a minute. Voice of America says Kenyan hopes to have peacekeepers in Haiti. Why is this so important to the administration? It says we really do welcome the Kenyans raising their hand to help lead this multinational security support mission in Haiti, because it's kind of an example of what I just mentioned of Kenya raising their hand to solve problems even outside its region. As you may know, there's been planning underway for a number of months. It has included policing experts from around the world working to develop a concept of operations. Kenya is not going in this alone. The U.S. has provided $300 million towards this, so it's a big thing to us. Stop right here. The leading policing experts in the world are the Israelis. People travel to Israel to learn how to do quote unquote policing. Greetings to Real Black Gentleman. As we see currently going on in Israel right now, that's what they call policing. So when you see all the, as we have seen over the last few years, all the people just being gunned down for no reason whatsoever, that's Israeli policing in a nutshell, right? So now, and as we see in Kenya, they are implementing the Israeli style policing in Kenya, as they have murdered 10 people because the people were peacefully protesting. The people aren't armed. They're unarmed people. Now, did they break into the parliament? Yes. Did they take down the Masonic, I believe like a Masonic altar or something like that? Yes. Understand something too about the whole Mason thing. That's just a subset under the hats. Like it, in fact, there's a whole, anyway, y'all know what book you're reading for that. Okay. All right, cool. Now let's get back to this article. I apologize for stopping at this article all the time, but you know, we know they talking in code, so we got to translate it. Now, she says, are there any other security agreements these two countries might come up with during the state visit? And Brown says, I would say watch this space because I think security cooperation with Kenya is a really important plank. Stop. What does that mean? Security means, right? A security agreement means you do the bidding of the U.S., but the U.S. actually doesn't exist because the U.S. is Western Israel, as we have said ad nauseum beforehand, right? So security agreement means you, black country, do the dirty work of U.S. government, which is owned and controlled by that. Got it? Cool. That's what security agreement means. Greetings to Lee Clinton. Now, let's get back to the article. Now it says, the U.S. and Kenya have long cooperated on Somalia. I think you can look for security-related announcements that go beyond that. Now, actually, I think I skipped something, but I didn't know that. Okay, wait a minute, hold on. All right. So Voice of America says, is it going to be focused on threats from Somalia or from other parts of East Africa? And then she says the U.S. and Kenya have long cooperated on Somalia. think you can look for security-related announcements that go beyond that. And okay, now this is interesting, right? Because what's the next thing we see? It says the U.S. are pulling out of the Sahel and the so-called coup belt. What are the concerns the administration has about security in the Sahel region, especially as Russia expands its footprint there? Brown says, as has been widely reported, we're making an orderly withdrawal from Niger. I will say that is pretty consistent with our administration's quote-unquote counterterrorism posture in general, that we have made changes to our posture that are consistent with our CT policy. There's no secret that democracy is on the back foot in a lot of places globally. If you talk to democracy scholars, democracy is on something like the 20th year of global decline. So Africa is not alone in this regard. The Biden administration is focused on lifting up and partnering with democracies to help them deliver. Stop. Notice what Voice of America says. They call the liberated zone in the Sahel with our brother Ibrahim Traore and his two brothers. They call that the coup belt. But what's right before that? We're going to work with Kenya in other places that go beyond what? Somalia. Okay. Let's just call it what it is. The United States wants to help Kenya to overthrow places that are quote unquote on the back foot from democracy. You see what I'm saying? Because they have a security agreement. They have weapons that they're going to get. They got some helicopters and things like that. But the Voice of America gives it away because they ask, well, hey, y'all been working with Somalia. What else is going on? Oh yeah. We've been working with Somalia. But now we got some other things on, we're going to work on. And then they say, hey, well, you leaving Niger and everything. What's up with that? And they like, oh, yeah, yeah, we agreed to do that. But don't worry about it, right? So, if I'm Mr. Traore and the other brothers, I would pay very close attention. Suddenly, what goes on in Kenya is a lot more important than I thought it was. And we will get to what I think should be the response of the people in the liberated zone of the Sahel to the uprising in Kenya. Please do not let me forget that. Let's see, who do I have in here that I know won't let me forget? Because normally that's you, brother. You got ripped off the shop. Sister Farnessa, don't let me forget. Talk about the Sahel and what their response should be to this uprising. Please, sister. Now, they were talking about so-called democracy. Oops. Let's see. It says, you may have seen USAID's initiative on democracy delivering. We're working with a few African countries on that. And I think this, again, something that we'll be talking a lot to the Kenyans with, because President Ruto talked about the imperative of democracy delivery. Okay, it says, regarding issues of trade and African Growth and Opportunity Act, obviously, this is going to be a decision made by Congress. But how does the administration feel about the benefits of trade and barrier-free trade with the United States? It says President Biden has been really vocal that sees a goal of reauthorization and a goal of modernization as a huge priority. It has been a huge, I think, from our perspective, but also from the perspective of the region. It's something that we hear a lot about from our Kenyan partners. We do look to Congress for that. But as you know, reauthorization is due next year. And obviously, we hope that things can get in motion before then. Next, they say, the president's emergency plan for AIDS relief, which has been literally life-saving for people around the African continent, is up for renewal next year. How does the White House see this program as contributing to national security? It says we see PEPFAR as essential. As you know, PEPFAR has been supported with bipartisan congressional support across administration since George W. Bush initiative initially. Is that Bush the first or the second? Man, I get confused. Somebody help me out. Which one is that? We think PEPFAR is delivering for people across the continent. And we've been proud of that. Okay. So, like anything I see with so-called AIDS initiative, I perk up, because generally that means Bill Gates jabs. And Bill Gates has a history of controversial mismanagement of jabs and having bad things happen via the jabs that he advocates in Africa. That has taken place. You've seen in my Africa versus everybody lectures. That's a key piece of that. So I didn't load that up today, but I just wanted to bring that up. So that shows the partnership before the U.S. and Kenya partnership, before all of this took place, right? So these are some of the plans and some of the things that they wanted to accomplish. Now, let's move forward. Says Biden names Kenya a major non-NATO ally. This is Mr. Biden and Mr. Ruto. Now, I don't know. I guess it was today. And I just had to say this because it looks crazy. Did y'all see Mr. Biden today? He was getting on, I guess he was getting on Air Force One. And listen, man, can we be real? There's no way in the world this man lives 5 more years. And if so, he's not gonna be in the capacity to do anything. Like it looked like Weekend at Bernie's. He looked like a walking corpse. I'm looking, I'm like, yo, this is crazy. Like, this person is a quote unquote leader of the free world, and he looks like he could just expire literally any second. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, this I'm like, am I tripping? Is it my TV? Is that guy actually alive? Like, you know, like half Crypt Keeper, half that old dude from what was that old movie? That old horror movie. And the dude, is an old white dude, and he's wearing a big black hat, like Poltergeist 2 or something. I mean, come on, man. This is crazy. There are 360 million people in America, and we can't find one guy that's alive to run against the other guy. Like, seriously, come on, man. Like, so for America for us to think that guy is dictating what's going on in the world, come on, man. It's no way. It's no way. I don't know what drugs they. Wait a minute, am I tripping? Is they're having a debate Thursday, right? Okay, they're gonna give him some drugs, because the person I saw, ain't no way they're debating anyone. That's not happening. But anyway, I have severely digressed. But I just had to ask people, because when I saw it, I was just looking like, yo, you know, I was concerned, and I don't even like him, but I'm just looking like, this just looks crazy. Now, anyway, back to the article at hand. President Biden welcomed Kenya President William Ruto for a state visit on Thursday, a trip aimed at showing his administration wants to deepen U.S. ties with the African continent. As part of a long list of new agreements with Kenya, Biden announced a plan to designate the country as a major non-NATO ally, which comes with some defense trade benefits, which means they get guns and weapons, and they get to do the U.S. bidding. That's pretty much how that works. Kenya will be the first sub-Saharan African nation to receive this designation, which recognizes the country's contributions to counterterrorism work and its work leading a multinational force in Haiti. Now let's stop right here. Because those two things were said at the same time, we have to assume that they think, or they equate counterterrorism with fighting Haiti. So, I mean, just take it as what it is. Come on, real black gentleman. I'm trying to focus, and you got to be up here laughing. Like I said, man, they're gonna give him whatever drugs they gave him for State of the Union. They give him 2 of those for for this upcoming debate. The Biden administration is backing Kenya's work in Haiti with funding, as we heard, $300 million, equipment, and intelligence. But the United States is not contributing forces because they've already paid them to be the force. Hello? We're in a situation where we want to do all we can without us looking like America once again is stepping over and deciding this is what must be done. Stop right there. Did I not just say that? Did I not just say, did I literally not just say they want to get Kenya to do the dirty work so it doesn't like they're doing the dirty work? I literally just said that. If I did not just say that, y'all tell me I'm tripping. But I could have sworn that's what I just said. Now, that's what Biden, and that's Biden talking. That's a quote from Biden. That's what he told reporters. It says debt relief was a focus of the talks. It's been a long time since an African leader had the honor of a state visit. Former President George W. Bush. Okay, that's Bush II. So, all right. Here's a clarity. George Herbert Walker Bush is Bush 1. George W. Bush is Bush 2. Because I had completely forgotten. I couldn't remember. Rolled out the red carpet for Ghana in 2008. Here we go. And Kenya in 2003. Wait a minute, hold up. He rolled out the red carpet for Kenya before Obama was elected. Okay. Anyway, this is the first state visit by an African head of state in nearly 20 years. This long overdue, Biden's National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan told reporters. Biden met with technology business leaders from Kenya and the United States on Wednesday, recognizing the country's growth in the tech sector. The leaders also discussed climate change, here we go again, during their meetings. It is important for us to appreciate that many countries in Africa, including Kenya, are struggling with an overwhelming convergence of multiple shocks, including extreme climate events, debt distress, and the disruptive upheavals in Europe and the Middle East, whose cumulative impact to divert national resources from investment in people and economic growth into managing climate-induced crises and servicing sovereign debt, Ruto said. The leaders agreed on new funding and a new approach to mobilizing debt relief. Too many nations are forced to make a choice between development and debt, between investing in their people and paying back their creditors, Biden said. Now let's stop right here. Because if they had a discussion about debt relief, and then he comes home and says you have to pay more taxes, what happened to the discussion? You know what I'm saying? That's like you going to your bank and say, hey, my credit's good and I want to rework my mortgage. And they say, cool. And then you go, that you go there and you fill out the paperwork and they say, all right, we're gonna help you out and we're gonna do this and that, and they tell you all the benefits. And then when you get your first, you get your first bill for your new one, it's $500 more than your old one. You're like, wait a minute. Well, how does this benefit me to pay more? This is not what I signed up for. This doesn't make any sense, right? Let me get back to the article. Says Biden had promised to visit Africa, but he hasn't been there yet. And he ain't going because I don't think he can make the trip. But anyway, they can always send his body double. Since then, President Harris, First Lady Jill Biden, and 7 of Biden's cabinet members have since visited Africa. But Biden himself has not, despite promising to do so. Hey, he's a politician, man. What are you going to do? Hold him to his word? That's ridiculous. Anyway, he told reporters on Wednesday that he would travel there in February, a goal that obviously will hinge on whether he wins re-election. February of next year? Whatever. In the evening, Biden will hold a gala with performances by the Howard Gospel Choir and country star Brad Paisley. Anyway, and what First Lady Jill Biden described to reporters as an elegant dinner under the stars in a pavilion made almost entirely of glass, looking up at our one sky. Oh man, such wonderful language. Just it's fantastic. Anyway, a nice floral arrangement there. Somebody made a lot of money from it. Okay, so that's the end of that article. So what we're going to do is we're going to check out I got videos for that, right? I got a Kenyan state visit. Yeah, all right. I got a Kenyan state visit video. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to watch a video of the Kenyan state visit, because why not?
US President Joe Biden and his wife Jill welcoming Kenya's President William Ruto to a glittering dinner at the White House. The hundreds of guests were treated to stunning views of Washington, a knockout menu and a healthy dose of celebrities, including former Presidents Bill Clinton and Barack Obama, although the latter did not stay for the dinner.
Well, welcome to the White House. White House never looked this good. There's a bright light in the White House tonight with our guests. They've been impressive and accommodating. And Jill and I are honored to have you here and representing, including many members of the African diaspora. One just left, Barack. He's been very gracious. He met the president this morning and was just here a little while ago.
It was the sixth and largest state dinner thrown by Biden as his administration tries to rebuild ties with African businesses and governments.
It's now my honor to ask you, ladies and gentlemen, to raise your glasses and join me in a toast to the continued well-being and long life of President Joe Biden and of First Lady Jill, to the continued security and prosperity of the people of the United States, and to the enduring bonds of friendship, partnership, and solidarity between Kenya and the United States. To the President.
Biden says he will visit Africa if re-elected.
Distinguished guests, please welcome Senior White
I'll say this. Looked like they had a good old time. But he mentioned something about long life and good health. Joe Biden. So I'm trying to find the good health part. Like what you talking about? You know what I'm saying? He's already had a long life. That good health thing, that's kind of already flew the coop. But hey, let's move forward. So that was as we see, they buddy, they enjoyed extravagant dinners and having a good old time. So we're gonna look at the get this out of the way. We're gonna look at just the Kenyan fact sheet a little bit. This was from May 23rd. This is official White House. So this is not me. Y'all can say, "You go DC making up lies." Nope. It says, this is wild. This is funny. This is funny. Already it's funny. All right, y'all gonna see why I'm laughing. Okay. So these are the things some of the things they worked on, right? It says democracy, governance, and human rights. It says our countries are bonded by shared democratic values and mutual commitment to advancing human rights. Now, y'all remember what I said a long time ago, right? Remember a long time ago, I mentioned that human rights means nothing but homophilia. That just means pro-homophilia. I wish You Got Ripped Off was here, but I know where he's at and he's doing something important, because I really need to know which video I did that in, because I need to chop that up and put that out as a short video. By the way, let me digress really quick. Are y'all enjoying the Ancestral Shorts series? And if you don't know what I'm talking about, after this, go to my page, go to the shorts, and just watch all the shorts that are in there. But I have some shorts of some of the ancestors. I got some more coming up this week. Got John Henry Clark coming up this week, working on Dr. Francis Cress Wilson, and working on Queen Mother Moore. So y'all let me know if y'all enjoying that. Now, let me get back to this article. It says the historic state visit about the Kenyan and American people and their hopes for an inclusive, sustainable, and prosperous future for all. I mean, it sounds wonderful. Our countries endeavor to guard against the erosion of political checks and balances, counter misinformation, and stop. Okay. Whenever I hear this word, misinformation, I get very irritated. The reason why is because my pages, especially my Instagram page, even more so than my YouTube page, weirdly enough, is constantly under attack. And I'm constantly accused of posting partially false information. And some of you all, who I greatly enjoy my interaction with online, some of you all have been recommended for me not to even deal with because of the stuff that you post. So somehow you're even worse than I am. I don't know how that works. I'm not going to name any names. I'll let you all know later that you got some type of weird thing on it that says, sure you want to follow this person? Sure you want to tag this person? Anyway, so whenever I hear this misinformation thing, misinformation means this person is countering propaganda with truth. That's what it means. You know what I'm saying? That's all it means. And this goes back to Agenda 201 and that whole situation there that we have discussed previously. Again, pardon me for digressing, but it's one of those nights. Now, says, okay, now, oh, this is hilarious. Let me read this. I'm gonna read this. This is hilarious. All right, this is hilarious on so many levels. Okay. Our countries endeavor to guard against the erosion of political checks and balances, counter misinformation and disinformation, mitigate hate-fueled violence targeting vulnerable communities. Can somebody in the chat translate limiting hate-fueled violence targeting vulnerable communities for me? Because I know what that means, but I want to see if everybody's on the same page with that. Right? Now, let's see. Oh man, this part's really hilarious. Tackle corruption by building transparent and accountable governance systems. Can we be honest? Tackle corruption? Has America tackled this corruption? Do y'all know how voting machines work? Like, this is like 1984 levels of saying the opposite of the truth, right? Using flowery language. Like this whole document is hilarious. Like, are y'all serious right now? Okay. When you hear Europeans talking to Africans about vulnerable groups, they're talking about protecting homophiles and allowing them to violate children. That's what that means. Vulnerable groups. You know what I'm saying? Human rights, quote unquote. All that means allow homophilia to run rampant in your country. That's all it means. Right? Now, let's get back here. It says, I lost my place. Let's see. Highlights new areas of cooperation. This the part that's hilarious. Man, I wish I could highlight this. I know I can, but anyway, whatever. New areas of cooperation to safeguard rights and freedoms in the face of rising authoritarianism, expand avenues for dialogue, and elevate our shared global commitment to protecting democracy. This is hilarious because at this moment, Mr. Ruto's government has passed a bill. The people have said, oh, no, we do not agree with this bill. We feel you have made an error. Would you like to discuss it with us, the people, because we disagree with what you're doing? Mr. Ruto has said to the people, yeah, too bad, right? So the people said to the parliament, okay, well, you actually passed this bill, so we're going to come and talk to you in the parliament, right? And the parliament's like, yeah, whatever, you're not going to do anything. So then the people said, knock, knock, right? I mean, that's basically what happened. And then Mr. Ruto said, oh, these people are serious. Here, take these bullets. Now, if take these bullets isn't authoritarianism, can somebody explain to me what is? Right? Like, he said, take these bullets to the people. And after he said, take these bullets, then he declared the people traitors. Is that not authoritarianism? So whatever they discussed, and apparently this is what they discussed, we're reading the document right here, all of that went out the window as soon as the people said knock, knock on the parliament. I just find the contradictions hilarious. And y'all know what I do. I don't read this stuff beforehand. I look it up, I put it up, I walk away, I get some coffee, eat some food, whatever. And then I come here and I read stuff, and we always find something that's just a contradiction, or we expose something and it's written in plain English and it's right in front of our face. And it's hilarious, really. Anyway, are we here with it? Oh yeah. The United States has programmed nearly 40 million for democracy, human rights, and governance programming in Kenya, including through Presidential Initiative for Democratic Renewal, programs to defend democratic elections and political processes, increase women's political participation and leadership, counter gender-based violence, and advance digital democracy. Now let's start right here. So, because of that, they should then be excited to see Black women leading protests against these austerity measures, since they want more women involved in the political process. I mean, if we want more women involved in the political process, and sisters are saying, hey, I'm standing up for the rights of Kenyan people, and she said it right to the police, right in their face, I'm standing up for your rights, my rights, his rights, all of our rights as Kenyan people, as we face this austerity measure. Why are you trying to brutalize us? Apparently that should be a part of democracy. But Mr. Ruto responded to that with, once again, hey man, take these bullets. So either Mr. Ruto didn't read this on the way back from the trip, you know what I'm saying? Or this is a load of malarkey. And it only applies when everybody gets along. Anyway, go down a little further. Say, Kenya's important work as a member of the 14-country Global Partnership for Action on Gender-Based Online Harassment and Abuse, which is advancing global policies to address online safety for women and girls, including targeted violence against women, political, and public figures. Now, I will say this. I don't know if that's been an issue in Kenya. I have absolutely no idea. I only know one person. I think actually there's another sister that used to follow me and used to listen to this program that's from Kenya, but I haven't seen her respond lately. I only know one other person. I would have to ask them. And so I do not know. And that seems admirable. And again, we see sisters out on the front lines of this issue. So I'm just saying, right? Now, what I want to do is I want to bring up this next video that shows, they go deeper into the U.S.-Kenyan deal and what Kenya received allegedly from the deal as they agreed to do the bidding of the United States. So what we're going to do, pause that, and we're going to load up this video and check out and see what Kenya got out the deal.
William Ruto says Kenyans will benefit from the multi-trillion shillings deals with the United States of America in various sectors that include trade, health, security, infrastructure, education, and technology. The president, who arrived back in the country earlier tonight, secured funding for various sectors and military aid from his United States visit with his administration's planned deployment of police to Haiti, a key issue in the discussions he held with U.S. President Joe Biden. Seth Olale delves into the highlights of the deals made during the visit that also marked 60 years of official U.S.-Kenya partnership.
The proposed construction of the 471 billion shillings, 440 kilometers, Nairobi-Mombasa dual-carriage expressway tops a long list of multi-trillion shillings investments President William Ruto secured during his 3-day state visit in the United States of America. Kenya is set to become the first sub-Saharan African nation to be accorded a major non-NATO ally designation, a designation granted by the United States to countries close and strategic working relationships with the U.S. military and defense civilians. Kenya is also set to receive 16 U.S. manufactured helicopters, 8 UAVs and 8 MD-500s between late 2024 and 2025 to bolster its ability to provide regional peace and security and participate in peacekeeping missions. In addition, 150 M1117 armored security vehicles from the U.S. Excess Defense Article stocks are projected to arrive in Kenya in September 2024. Kenya additionally securing $2 billion worth of deals inked by Google, Marathon Digital Holdings, Icon Holding Limited, the U.S. International Development Finance Corporation, and Microsoft.
Is towards Haiti, and there's a minor delay.
President William Ruto, during an interview with CNN, stating that Kenyans will benefit hugely from its multi-trillion shillings bilateral deal with the United States of America in various sectors including trade, health, security, infrastructure, education, and technology. United States' immediate interest being supporting Kenya's plan to deploy 1,000 police to Haiti to help bring security and stability to the Caribbean nation. Analysts say the U.S. long-term mission is seeking to reclaim its dominance and prominence in East and Central Africa for strategic positioning and penetration into the continent, after previous regimes leaned on the East for development infrastructure.
America wants to have significant partners on the continent, and Kenya is one of them. Much more, for example, than South Africa, much more than countries in the West or even the North.
As President Ruto was hosted in Washington, D.C., another government delegation held parallel meetings in China, where they bagged 1 billion shillings worth of funding for a leadership college in Kenya, as well as other digital learning funding. But President Ruto, while speaking to CNN, affirms that Kenya is not leaning towards either of its allies.
You'll forgive me if I just put it straightforward in good, blunt terms. If a choice is made between investment by China and investment by the United States and companies, which would you prefer?
You know, let me tell you, Quest, many people want to pull us into a conversation as to whether we are facing east or we are facing west. Let me tell you, we are neither facing west nor facing east, we are facing forward.
For UDA, in its twinning with the Communist Party of China, possibly is tethered to matters to do with technology, and especially there's the desire to have technological support for election management.
Seth Olale, Citizen TV.
All right. So we heard that. And wait a minute. That clip a lot. One thing we saw, military hardware, right? Fortunately for the people of Kenya, that military hardware doesn't arrive until September. By the way, y'all give me a 1 if y'all can hear me. Make sure I'm good. Until September, because it would be quite, number one, it'd be bad for the people of Kenya because they would have no way to defend themselves. As we see, the government has no problem attacking them. 2, it would be quite embarrassing for the United States military equipment that they sent to Kenya being used by the president of Kenya to kill his own people. Right? That would be crazy. We saw a lot of quote unquote investments from places like Microsoft. I'm gonna just say this. If you see anything from the Gates Foundation, Bill Gates himself, and or Microsoft in your country, and your country is a quote unquote third world country, you're in trouble. I don't care what it is. I don't care if it's technology. I don't care if it's food. I don't care if it's medicine. Whatever comes from the Gates Foundation, you're a smaller country. You don't want it. I don't care what it is. Another thing I found interesting, they were talking about technology management, I believe coming from China. And one of the things they talked about was what? Elections. Can we be honest here? When's the last time a sitting government improved elections so that they could be voted out of office? Exactly. That's why the music went off. Because that doesn't happen. Right? We're not. Let's just be realistic here. That's a ridiculous concept. So anyway, I think I'm pretty much finished with this because, I mean, you know what? I'm not. Because it's hilarious. All right, so let's move forward. It says, combating corruption. The administration intends to provide $500,000 for a new fiscal integrity program to make county or country? Anyway, to make county budget processes more transparent and inclusive and increase citizen engagement. And $500,000 to broaden the reach and effectiveness of anti-corruption advocacy by empowering civil society actors to create and disseminate multimedia content that engages citizens and mobilizes action against corruption. Stop right here. Y'all want to know why that's hilarious? Because they haven't even given the money yet. And what's one of the somebody take a guess as to one of the things that is causing this uprising that's taking place right now? Yeah, just take, so anyone just give me a wild guess on one of the reasons why the youth are marching and protesting and singing and dancing and chanting and going in parliament and tearing up stuff and filming everything while they doing it and saying Ruto must go. Somebody help me out with why that's taking place. Now, while I'm waiting for you all to let's see. Oh, this is crazy. This is crazy. All right, let me read this real quick. While I'm waiting for y'all to tell me why the people are raising up. It says, strengthening police reform efforts. Bruh. Are we serious right now? Building on a long-standing partnership to further police capacity building and reform efforts, the United States and Kenya announced a new $7 million partnership to advance and strengthen the modernization and professionalization of Kenya's National Police Service, with a focus on staff and training development. This is the same police force that is shooting down Kenyan citizens as we speak. And they're getting training to be more professional. Might be a little late for that. I mean, does being more professional mean not killing people who are just protesting peacefully? I'm just asking a question because I don't. The jokes write themselves at some point. All right. Now this is crazy. This is crazy. Hold on. I just gotta read this because it's crazy. Combat, reduce prison overcrowding and improve detention conditions. The United States and Kenya are committed to further advancing Kenyan-led efforts to improve the oversight and conditions within Kenya's prison system. Now, what's wrong with this picture? What's wrong with this picture is literally the United States needs to actually give that money to Louisiana. That is one of the worst prison systems on earth. Right? Literally, you worried about somebody else's prison system. Angola is a hellhole. If I do that, you know what I'm saying? What are we talking about here? Are we serious? Anyway, I digress. That just irritated me. Next, support for what happened? No, I did corruption. Oh, supporting investigative journalism. I think this is hilarious. The United States seeks to amplify Kenya's leadership in building the Africa digital resistance by supporting linkages between well-known international investigative organizations and select Kenyan NGOs, media outlets, and citizens journalists to build up Nairobi as a regional hub for exposing issues in the public interest. This means they are setting up a propaganda hub for that part of Africa. That's all that is. Come on, man. They're not interested in investigative journalism. Helping we don't get investigative journalism here in America. You want to know why we don't get investigative journalism here in America? Because people like, and I don't necessarily even like these people, but people like Glenn Greenwald, and Julian Assange, and I forgot the other dude that mysteriously died when his car was on fire and he was driving 100 miles an hour. Those people are either dead, in jail, or exiled. Right? Those were people that were investigating 9/11 and the Iraq War and all that stuff. So the idea that you can give somebody else money so that they can improve their investigative journalism with the history of the United States just in the 21st century is laughable. It's just absolutely crazy to me. Anyway, I'm through with that. That's just whatever. Now, come on, AP. Now, let's get to what's taking place now, right? Because we see what the U.S. did, and now it says, here's what led to Kenyans to burn part of parliament and call for the president's resignation. I mean, if you're Ruto, literally you're 1 minute, like 1 minute you're on top of the world. You keying it up with the president of the United States, giving toast at White House dinners, and the next minute the country is in flames and they're like, you have got to go. All right, let's see what they say. This is from AP. And some reason they're in Uganda. But anyway, Kenya's president came to power by appealing to the common people, describing himself as a quote-unquote hustler. That was mistake number one. And vowing relief from economic pain. Hustlers get money for themselves, not for other people. Anyway, but Tuesday, deadly chaos in the capital, Nairobi, shows how far support for him has turned. Part of parliament burned as protesters rushed in and lawmakers fled. Bodies lay in the streets, and medical workers and watchdogs said police opened fire. Yeah, police opened fire. The military was deployed. A youth-led movement had warned the government of President Ruto against passing a finance bill they said would add to Kenya's economic woes. Yeah, because it's modified austerity. Lawmakers passed it anyway. Ruto is expected to sign it, even as religious leaders called it unwarranted. Here's a look at the unrest in East Africa's most stable democracy and the most serious assault on Kenya's government in decades. From internet data to diapers. The finance bill was meant to raise or introduce taxes or fees on a range of daily items and services, including internet data, fuel, bank transfers. Bank transfers? You're going to tax bank transfers? And diapers. So pretty much they're going to cover it. You're either going to use the internet, fuel, bank transfers, or data, and they put a tax on bread. So everybody is getting taxed one way or another, and most people are getting taxed multiple ways. Right? Anyway, the proposal was part of Kenya's government efforts to raise an extra 2.7 billion American dollars in domestic revenue. The government says the changes are necessary to pay interest on the national debt and reduce the budget deficit and keep the government running. Protesters see them as punitive since the high cost of living already makes it hard to get by. This is how we know it's austerity, because austerity happens when your government raises your taxes to pay the debt to a foreign government, and the money is siphoned off from the people to either the foreign government or a foreign bank or some type of extra governmental organization like the IMF or the World Bank or the International Monetary Fund, or it's one other one, but I can't think of what it is right now. Anyway, so those types of people. Now it says a 2023 finance bill signed into law by Ruto was also unpopular, featuring a tax on salaries for housing, but the anger was nothing like this. Now it says a youth-led protest. Young Kenyans have been organizing on social media, organizing peaceful street demonstrations meant to force authorities to drop this finance bill altogether. The protest started on June 18th after the bill was made public for the first time. The protest began in Nairobi and has spread to other parts of Kenya, including the Indian Ocean city of Mombasa and even Eldoret, a town in the Rift Valley region that's been a bastion of support for the president. So even his core supporters are like, yeah, no. Kenyan's political opposition stormed out of Tuesday's session in which the bill was passed. Ruto, elected in 2022, has consistently urged all Kenyans to pay their fair share of taxes. Some Kenyans now mock him as Zakayo, after the biblical tax collector Zacchaeus. Many see his aggressive stance as a form of dictatorship that's out of sync with the realities of ordinary people. In 2023, after the courts blocked some of his tax proposals, the president threatened to disregard court orders. That drew criticism from the Law Society of Kenya, whose leader accused Ruto as seeing himself above the law. Now, this is interesting because literally this was going on before he was invited by the president to the White House. Pro-democracy activists have warned that Ruto's attacks on the judiciary indicate an authoritarian streak. Some see similarities between Ruto, that's where he came from, and his mentor, Daniel Arap Moi, the former president who led Kenya during a long period of one party rule. All right, so we're gonna let me read this part real quick. Says Ruto in his presidential campaign called himself the anti-establishment candidate. Well, we see that's cap, and vowed to implement policies to put more money in Kenya's pocket. Now, that was a lie. But the so-called hustlers who supported him were dismayed when his government removed crucial fuel and maize flour subsidies. Many Kenyans saw it as a betrayal. Ruto, now fabulously wealthy, frequently urges Kenyans to tighten their belts. But his state visit to the United States in May created controversy when he chartered a luxury private jet instead of using the presidential jet or Kenya's national carrier. Ruto later said that the charter jet had been paid for by friends he didn't name. Let's stop right here. All right, one of two things happened. Either he took money from the government, their government coffers, to pay for his private jet, or he took money from Bill Gates and people like that, Soros, them type of folks, and took the jet that they sent for him. Either way, that's bad news for the people. So we see why, right? This is not Jay said. Ruto went to America and brought back their predatory tax system. Yeah, that's what it appears like, right? The preponderance of the evidence says so. So what we're going to look at is the uprising, because I haven't actually shown you all any video of the uprising. So this is just a quick video so y'all can see as this stuff was going on and he was doing these things. You can just see how the people reacted when they finally saw, what he's doing when he's taking these lavish trips and, private jets and all that, and then come back with some austerity. So let's see the people.
I'm here to address you. You must go. Ruto must go. We don't fear you guys. You hypocrites. We don't fear you. Mr. Speaker, we don't fear you. To Kondani, we stomped inside.
Good. Really Bugay.
So that is the situation, like as close to real time as we can get, right? The people just said enough's enough. And we see the pictures. And the government has said, shut up and take it. Right? Now, there was so much individuals there. There's a lot of things happening. Here's what frustrates me about us. And you're like, well, we got to do it. We're not there. Sister Najee just said the average street kids have no love for Mzungu. They look up to, I'm assuming that's African Americans. BB482, K Fighter, good to see you, man. And she said, hit the like button and stop playing. We set a certain example, and we don't realize we set the example. And that's why it frustrates me, because when we do certain things and they see us do it, they follow behind it. But we don't give them the analysis to go forward, right? Because this is where they are at this moment. This started off as peaceful protests. The government responded with repression. The people took the peaceful protests in places where the government was to talk to the government directly. The government responded with murder. Just straight out, just killing people. And as I said previously, Mr. Rudo, I done turned the music off. You got ripped off would always be like, music, please. And Mr. Rudo has declared the people who are protesting the austerity, in essence, enemy combatants, because they call them traitors. At the moment, and if I said it before, I'm saying it again. At the moment where the government declares the people enemies, you have passed and then shoots the people, right? Because they ain't just talking it, he's doing it. You have passed the threshold where peaceful protests will be successful, because the government has, in essence, declared war on the people. Now, we've reached a point where the people, right, have to find a way to remove the government, or the leadership, whoever they may be, of this uprising are going to find themselves in jail or dead. It's just plain and simple. Like, you've reached a point, you have passed peaceful protests into armed struggle, but it looks like they're unarmed, which is a problem, because the bullets are coming from the other direction, regardless of what you do. So the next step is peaceful organizing to revolutionary organizing. That's the next step. That's the only thing that's left. It's either that or submit to what Rudo's doing. Those are the two options, because he's shown that he's willing to kill the people, right? And once any government shows that they're willing to kill their own people, the government then becomes illegitimate. And then the people have to do what Malcolm X said. You have to remove the government by any means necessary, because the government has declared themselves illegitimate by attacking the people. So they saying Rudo must go. Cool, I agree with that. But how? We're going to get to how I think that can happen in the last 15 minutes, so 10 minutes away, right? Now, let's get back to this article. Or was that? Oh, no, I think I'm finished with that one. My bad. Now, says Kenya's president calls protesters treasonous after police fired live rounds at protesters. And the reason I want to bring this up is because this lovely lady is Barack Hussein Obama's half sister. So while Barack Hussein Obama's half sister was being interviewed by the press by CNN, she was being tear gassed and was barely able to speak. Right? You see what I'm saying? Like, again, the jokes write themselves. And I don't think I loaded up that particular video. I'll probably do a separate video and load and show that. So it says Kenyan President William Ruto denounced protests on Tuesday that saw Parliament stormed and at least 5 people shot dead as treasonous, but did not address the swelling outrage against the controversial finance bill that sparked the widespread demonstrations. Kenya is in the grip of nationwide protests against proposed tax hikes, culminating into Tuesday's total shutdown of the government, which quickly turned violent. But let's stop right here, because you always got to be careful with people like CNN. They said the protests turned violent, but who turned the protests violent? Did the people turn the protests violent, or did the government turn the protests violent? Right? That's a part that they leave out. Turned violent as police used tear gas and live rounds, which means bullets, on protesters. A CNN team saw 2 bodies laying motionless on the ground in Nairobi as the country's parliament was breached. Kenyan police were also seen beating and later arresting some paramedics. Hold up. Let me read this again, because that's not what I was expecting to see. Let me try again. A CNN team saw 2 bodies laying motionless on the ground in Nairobi as the country's parliament was breached. Kenyan police were also seen beating and arresting paramedics who were helping injured protesters. There goes that American democracy for you. During a nationwide address after Parliament was set afire, or alight as they say here, Ruto said the events on Tuesday were a grave threat to national security and that the conversation around the bill had been hijacked by dangerous people. The people said, hey, we don't like this bill. All of that was disregarded by everyone in the government. Then when the people protested, all of that was disregarded by everyone in the government. Then when the people went to Parliament to have a discussion, they were met with bullets. Where do you think this is going, right? Now, it is not in order or even conceivable that criminals pretending to be peaceful protesters can rain terror against the people, their elected representatives, and the institutions established under our Constitution, and expect to go scot-free, the president said, adding that democratic expression and crime must be isolated from each other. Stop right here. He has literally, as I said would happen, and I hadn't read the article yet, declared the people who are leading the resistance to be criminals, and he said they will not go free. So again, you have reached a point where peaceful protests that's null and void. We're past that. And he is threatening to arrest and or neutralize those people because, again, he just was in the United States, and that's what you learn when you're in the United States. Says Kenya's defense ministry said the military had been deployed to support the country's police services as human rights and civil society groups criticized the heavy-handed response by police on Tuesday, excuse me. It was reported that at least 5 people were shot. I heard 10, and 31 were injured during Tuesday's protests. Of these, 13 were hit with live rounds, 4 with rubber bullets, and 3 with launcher canisters, according to a joint statement by Amnesty International Kenya, the Kenyan Medical Association, the Law Society of Kenya, and Police Reforms Working Group Kenya. The joint statement also accused the police of shooting at a medical emergency center located at a church. CNN has reached out to the Kenyan police for comment. The use of live bullets must now stop, the statement said, despite the assurance by the government that the right to assembly would be protected and facilitated. Today's protests have spiraled into violence. Human rights observers and medical officers have reported several incidents of human rights violations. The demonstrations sparked by the Finance Bill 2024 have seen citizens rally under the banner of 7 days of rage as the nation faces more days of upheaval. The dramatic scenes that unfolded in the nation's parliament and nation's capital saw government buildings set on fire and a ceremonial mace, right, that we talked about, the ceremonial mace from the Masons, stolen from Parliament. Kenyan lawmakers were evacuated from Parliament as police went up against protesters. CNN affiliate NTV Kenya reported. Internet monitoring site NetBlocks reported a major disruption to internet connectivity because that's how the people have been organizing. Nairobi City Hall, the office of government of Nairobi, was also set on fire. Live visuals from CNN affiliate Citizen TV showed. A fire could also be seen blazing through the lower ground window and other windows, also emitting smoke, according to Citizen TV. Some people were seen removing furniture, including chairs, from the building. Vehicles parked in Kenya's Supreme Court, which is close to City Hall, were also set on fire. Early on Tuesday, Alma Obama, the half-sister of former President Barack Hussein Obama, was tear-gassed by police during an interview with CNN live on the air while protesting against the bill. "I can't even see anymore. We're being tear-gassed," Ms. Obama said in dramatic footage captured by CNN team on the ground. Obama, a Kenyan British activist, was speaking to CNN alongside a group of young protesters when the group was tear-gassed in Nairobi. A spokesman for former President Obama declined comment on the tear gas incident on Tuesday. "I'm here because look at what's happening. Young Kenyans are demonstrating for their rights. They are demonstrating with flags and banners," Ms. Obama said. Security forces have also been accused of abducting prominent Kenyans, particularly those who have large social media followings. Amnesty International Kenya says it is investigating the whereabouts of up to 12 people who were abducted in the middle of the night ahead of Tuesday's planned protest. The list includes bloggers, content providers, human rights defenders, a doctor, and a parliamentarian staffer. Amnesty Kenya executive Arungu Orton told CNN, "We are horrified by some of these testimonies that we have heard over the last 24 hours. We have about 12 people unaccounted for who have been picked up in many cases by people who are uniformed or not uniformed," Orton said, adding that they had not received legal assistance and their families did not know their whereabouts. We are now seeing not just abductions, but disappearances. He said CNN had reached out to Kenyan police for comment. Kenya's opposition leader, Raila Odinga, called for the government to immediately stop the violence its agencies are meting out on citizens in a statement on X. Odinga also called for the arrest of police officers who are alleged to have shot and killed protesters, as well as immediate withdrawal of the country's controversial finance bill. International leaders urged calm on Tuesday. Right? So brother said Obama's going to turn the cheek up. Yeah, he don't want no parts of that. A real black gentleman said the Burkinabe protested at their Supreme Court unsuccessfully, then burned their parliament and forced Blaise Compaoré out. Yeah, they needed to get him out of here. Sister Najee says abductions like Biko, like Lumumba, we haven't learned. Yeah, those things are, we've seen them before. Now, that puts us here, because this is today's information, right? That's why I said the time of peaceful struggle has ended. Once they start beating you, shooting you, abducting people, because once they abduct you, they're gonna torture you. Right? Abduction and torture just go hand in hand, right? They don't abduct you to give you room service at 5-star hotel. That's not how it works, right? So once those things take place, you've reached the point where armed struggle is the next step. There's armed struggle or there's capitulation. There's no in between, right? As somebody who's studied this stuff for years and been part of protests and different movements and organizations and things like that, this is how it works. You know what I'm saying? Nobody knows, like Black Americans, how struggle and resistance and all that stuff works. Here's the problem, fundamental problem that I see, right? And by the way, I don't think I've said this at one time tonight. If you're not following me on Instagram, you can follow me on Instagram at dc.radical1. You can follow me on Twitter at dcradical_ONE. And you can follow me on OTW2 at dcradical1. And if you find value in this information that we are presenting tonight, you can donate via Cashapp, $DCRadical1. And if you want to email me at dc.radical_1@protonmail.com. Now, I digress. Let's get back to it. Now, the question becomes, how does an unarmed people remove their country, the shackles of the government of their country, once the country has decided, or the government has decided, that the people are the threat? And sister, and yeah, I think this is sister I was talking about. He says, thank you for discussing what's happening in Kenya. You're well informed on the key issues. This could be a turning point for us Kenyans. We don't want so-called help or partnerships with Biden. Sister, let me put that on the screen, please. Let's put this up. This is our sister and Mambo from Kenya. She says, thank you for discussing what is happening in Kenya. You are well informed on the key issues. This could be a turning point for us Kenyans. We don't want so-called help or partnerships with Biden. And I don't blame you, because I'm in America and we don't want help or partnerships from Biden, because he told us that if we don't vote for him, we're not Black. So I can only imagine what he thinks about Kenya, because he doesn't like Black people in America. But I digress. Thank you for your support, sister. So there's a quote from Huey P. Newton that says, an unarmed people are slaves, and I'm paraphrasing because I can't remember the exact quote, or subject to be enslaved at any point. I do not know the situation as far as the people of Kenya being armed, but it looks like they're unarmed. The police are armed. This is an issue. In order to liberate themselves, one of two things are going to happen. Either A, they're going to force the government to slaughter so many people that the international community says, okay, you got to go. This is out of hand, right? It's not really a good thing. Or B, they have to find someone to help them offset the power dynamic of an armed government against an unarmed people. Here is my proposal. There is a revolutionary force in the Sahel on the other part of Africa. Our brother, Mr. Traore, and his Confederates are successful revolutionaries. My humble proposal is that whoever is the leadership of this movement and what's the word I'm looking for? Some supporters of Mr. Traore and some of his Confederates open a dialogue to see what can be done to help the people of Kenya to not be slaughtered, because it appears that Mr. Ruto is willing to do that. It's a proposal. I'm sure that there probably were almost no connections between these people. But in a time like this, where the people are unarmed and subject to be slaughtered because the killing has started, the time is not now to look outside of Africa, but to look to African revolutionaries who are in government and see if they could be of assistance from an advisory point of view, which means that they would not be interfering in the internal affairs of another country, but would be only advising the people and how to move forward. That is my humble suggestion, right? And any assistance that Mr. Traore could provide and his Confederates could provide would be beneficial in a situation due to the fact that the people are now under threat of further assault and violence, because the people did not turn violent. The government turned violent because the people are unarmed and were peacefully protesting and were met at every turn with increasing levels of violence. And if the levels of violence increase, and unarmed people cannot resist, right? One of the things that makes America so violent but different, because the government can only go so far before the backlash in America could turn violent, right? Because the difference between America and everywhere else, as Black people have shown as much as anyone, at some point the violence in America does not come one way, but it comes both ways. And that's usually when somebody wants to negotiate. In this case, in Kenya, as they appear to be an unarmed people, the violence is going one way, and it appears that it will stay going one way unless revolutionary Africans in other parts of the continent decide to interject with some assistance. So for those brothers and sisters in Kenya, that's my suggestion. Because I don't see a way to get Mr. Ruto to, he appears completely unwilling to listen to the people in regard to these issues with this austerity. And so if that's the case, and he continues in what he is doing, it limits the options of the people. So I got one last video that I'm gonna play. It's about 5 minutes long, and the brother breaks down what is behind this and what caused this, caused the people to raise up. So we're gonna listen to that clip, and then we're going to close out.
The unpopular finance bill has passed a significant hurdle on its way to becoming law after Parliament voted it through on its second reading. The proposed changes would mean tax increases for lots of people who are already struggling with the cost of living. Thousands of young people have taken to the street to oppose it.
A new generation of Kenyans occupy the streets of the capital, Nairobi, as anger mounts over a controversial finance bill. Anti-riot police used water cannon and tear gas in an attempt to disperse protesters. The government continues to push the budget through Parliament, but they were forced to drop some of the most contentious elements, including a 16% tax on bread and an annual tax on car ownership. Despite government concessions, the swell of opposition that started on TikTok has spread to streets across the country.
I'm out today because I think this government has decided that they own this country. They don't own this country. We actually own Kenya. And I think that's what they're forgetting. So we are just here to remind them that Kenya belongs to all of us.
We want to stand out for ourselves. We as the Gen Z, we want to determine how our future will be ruled by we ourselves, the Gen Z. We are not here ready to be manipulated by the so-called President of the Republic of Kenya, Mr. William Samoei Ruto.
And there are calls for the president to resign.
Ruto must go. Ruto must go. Ruto must go. Ruto must go. Ruto go. Order, honorable member.
Lawmakers passed the bill's second reading on Thursday. The legislation is now almost certain to become law, but protesters say they won't back down.
Well, I asked our correspondent in Nairobi, Felix Moringa, why lawmakers had decided to advance the bill despite the outcry.
So some of the members of parliament who were in support of the bill have said that the government needs money and the government needs a working budget, and that's why they had to pass the budget. Then, speaking during the day, President William Ruto asked members of parliament affiliated to the ruling party to expedite the process and pass the bill so that he can assent to it for it to become law. Then, thirdly, members of parliament have shown clearly that they do not listen to their core constituents who voted them in. So it will be an interesting tussle to see what happens, because people told their members of parliament who are their elected representatives not to vote, but they've gone ahead to vote. So it will be a good tussle to see what happens in the coming days.
And explain to us why young people are particularly angry about these changes.
Young people are angry at the high cost of living. The cost of living, they say, has been blowing through the roof, and they say it's become unbearable. Majority of the young people are unemployed, and so many of them are learned and unemployed, and they feel that by the government continuing to tax them even more, even the basic items are becoming too expensive. Then the government has also proposed eco levy on imported finished products. Some of the products like sanitary towels and diapers, and people feel that this should be a no-go zone for the government. Lastly, young people are also tired because they feel there's been a lot of runaway corruption by the government, and they're saying that instead of the government continuing to tax them more, they need to first deal with the runaway corruption before even thinking about taxing Kenyans even more.
OK, so this law has passed 2 readings. What happens next, and what happens to the protests?
So what happens next is that there is one more reading that is set to happen early next week, that is on Tuesday. Then after that, the law will be assented by the president and it will now become an act. So it will take effect. Ideally, the government year in Kenya ends on 30th June and the other one begins almost immediately on 1st of July. So that is what will happen. But for the protesters, they say that because they've heard that the government doesn't seem to listen to them, doesn't seem to listen to their pleas, the protesters have vowed to remain on the streets. Some of them, in fact, earlier today were saying Ruto must go, saying that now, if it will get to that particular point, then they will not vote for the president again come 2027. Some of the members of parliament who voted yes to the bill have also been put on notice. There are voters saying that come 2027, they will meet at the ballot. And people online have actually started sharing the names and phone numbers of the members of parliament who voted yes to the bill, and they're saying that now it will be the masses versus the elected representatives. So it will be interesting to see how the next couple of days pan out and whether the protesters will remain on the streets as they have promised today.
Excuse me. So that was a summation of how we got here in Kenya. I forgot the brother's name, but we appreciate him for breaking that down. The sister Najee says, oops, hold on, my bad, wrong one. Young people have nothing to lose and everything to gain. It's been the same neo-colonial story for too long. Time is now. Huey P. Newton said that revolution belongs to the young. So this is a prime example of that. So what I'm going to say is I'm going to definitely keep my eye on this. I will probably end up just doing some radical reports for any major occurrences as this takes place. I'm not sure where it will go from here. I know where I would like for it to go. I would like for it to go into a full-scale revolutionary movement that removes a leader who is obviously completely in bed with the West and completely in love with with Western Israel, and is a complete and total slave to those Western interests. Those type of people, you just have to remove them, or you're in trouble. As they found out extremely quickly. Like he came off the plane talking austerity, right? All of a sudden, allegedly, because I showed the clip earlier, allegedly you came with money, but you don't have enough money to run the government. But allegedly you got money from the trip that you made to the U.S. But you have all this money and investment supposed to come in, but you don't have money to run the government. So you're going to tax people on bread and diapers and all types of things that are essential. And the people said no, they're just not having it. And I commend the Kenyan people, and I'm so proud of the youth. And I just tell y'all, it's going to get harder. It's going to get rougher. You're going to have to dig in, because Ruto has shown his hand that he's willing to do anything to remain in power. So again, you can follow me on Instagram at dc.radical1, on Twitter at dc_radical_one. The OTW2 is at dc_radical1. You can donate via Cash App at $DCRadical1. And of course, you can email me at dc.radical_1 at protonmail.com. So, brothers and sisters, I thank you all for listening. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Also, go over to our shorts section of the page. Like, share, and spread those. I see that everybody loves Baba Mugabe post that went, that got a lot of views. And Brother Malcolm and Amos Wilson didn't get a lot of views. I don't know what that's about. But yeah, be sure to spread, watch those and share that to your friends. And the plan right now is to come back Thursday and deal with the Russia situation, because that's another situation that's been going on. I haven't talked about that in a while, and a lot of stuff has taken place there. So there are a lot of things happening internationally. We will be covering them to the best of our capacity. And I'm well on my way to giving you all your 30 pieces of content in 30 days. So again, I thank you all for your support, for liking, sharing, subscribing, and just for sticking with us. Myself, Brother Genie, SBPM, Ask them, everybody. And if you didn't watch Sunday's program, please watch that, because that was very important as well. So with that, I say a BB for Hodie and straight black pride. Thank you for watching this video. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Also follow us on our other social media platforms. On Instagram, we're at dc.radical1. On Twitter, we're at dc_radical_one. And the Cash App is $DCRadical1. Again, thank you for subscribing. A BB for Hodie and straight black pride.